There's things rich people or wealthy people understand about money that the common or the average person doesn't. Okay? When it comes to decision making and financial growth, this is what makes the difference between the rich and the average person or the poor person. Today, I'll outline for you 11 things that the wealthy or the rich understand about money that you might not know. You might know maybe a few, or I don't know, I might surprise you. You never know. So stay with me. Hi, I'm Miss Muithathi and welcome back to my channel. I talk about personal finance, building wealth, money, life, without pretending everything is just easy, because it's not. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications bell so that you're notified every time I upload another new video. Now, let's get into it. The 11 things the wealthy or the rich people understand about money. Number one, they understand that money is a tool, not a goal. The average people out here think of money as a goal. Okay, for them, the end goal is money. That's where you go wrong. You see, wealth, it's leveraged for things like freedom, time, and influence. But the average kawaida person, they will think of it as stuff and status. The wealthy don't look at money like that. So maybe it's a high time you sit down and ask yourself, what is your end goal? Okay. And you can only know if you choose to be honest with yourself. The answers you'll get will reveal the kind of person you are or how your future will look like. Okay? So, money for them is a tool, not a goal. The second thing, they prioritize assets over income. These are the wealthy, the rich. The kawaida, the average person, will prioritize income over assets. And that's why you'll see some people, they're so eager. They're doing everything to get that high earning pay job. Yeah? For them, it's all about income. They're not even building. They're not that hungry to build assets or to grow assets. They are not hungry to invest. The same hunger or the same energy that they took to try and get a job or look for a job, they're not using the same energy to look for assets. The wealthy do that. They prioritize assets over income. And this means you'll find them prioritizing things that pay them back. Things like stocks, real estate. And even if they're employed, it doesn't matter if they're average earners or high earners. They invest in things like businesses. But the average person, people who are not rich, you'll find them out here investing in things that cost them money, things that don't make them money. For example, the best clothes, designer clothes, expensive for nothing, expensive shoes, cars, high-end cars. You drive an Audi in an apartment. You drive a Mercedes-Benz in a 2-bedroom apartment. And when we talk about compromised priorities, you want to get angry. Okay, you can go get angry over there with your shadow, okay, and just let us be. At the end of the day, we're just people. You don't know me, and people have to talk. We have to talk. We'll see and we'll talk. We found people talking and we'll leave them talking, so There isn't much that can be done about that. Anyway, I'm drifting. Number 3, tax efficiency to the wealthy or to the rich is a strategy. Okay. They structure income as capital gain or debt, but not wages. And this is because they know this will help them to legally minimize taxes. Now, the average person does the opposite. So, consciously or unconsciously, you find yourself, you've maximized taxes, you're paying a lot of tax. You need to have a strategy. Okay? Strategize. The 4th thing the wealthy or the rich know or understand about money is that they know how to use debt to build wealth. And I say this because, do you know there's people who don't even know that there's good debt and there's bad debt? Okay. And there's people who will sell fear to you because they know you don't have an understanding of that. They know maybe you know debt as a bad thing, so they'll sell fear to you. So you'll never grow. But I'm here to tell you there's good debt. And that's what the wealthy or the rich use to increase or to build more wealth. Okay. And when I say this, I'm talking about things like low interest debts. In Kenya, some people get this from SACCOs, They can apply funds for things like mortgages and, business loans. These low interest debt, they use them to acquire assets that outpace the interest rate. So the average, the common person will not think of it like that. They'll just sit there and always be afraid of debt because they think all debt is the same. All debt is high interest. No. The wealthy or the rich will do their due diligence. They will compare interest rates across different entities, okay, and pick the one that suits them best, the one that won't, the one with the lowest interest rate, and then they'll use that, okay, and they also take action. They don't sleep on things. The 5th thing I can say the wealthy understand about money, well, is that they know some things require patience, especially when it comes to compound growth. They understand for anything to compound, it needs time. Okay? I'm sure you've come across people who, for example, there was a time something like a money market fund was booming. Everyone was talking about it. And you would hear people say, oh, the returns are low, it's so slow, and stuff like that. That's how you don't grow. Because you're not patient. You want quick returns, yet the money you're investing is very little. What happened to patience? Now you see the wealthy, they are patient. And that's why they even invest in things like stocks. Because now when they do this, they know this is for, like, once I do this, there's no going back. But now, because you want quick returns, you can never invest in something like that. Because some investments do take time. Before you can see any return, they do take time. And if you do not have patience, then, I don't know, you'll always be investing in these high-risk investments. And as the name says, it's high risk. So it's very, very, the probability of you losing money is high. So the wealthy, they let investments grow for decades. You can imagine how long that is. Okay. They are humans. They'll feel the need to cash out. I've also tried to invest, and in the middle of all that, because life happens, you feel the need to withdraw your money, to pull out your money. But for you to be wealthy, the wealthy know you have to practice patience. You have to be able to stop yourself from pulling out money. Because most of the time you will see that money you're pulling out is, most of the time it goes to this short-term plus or wants. So, patience. They have mastered the art of patience. Number 6, they know that risk is managed, not avoided. Those are two different things. There's people, all investments come with risk. There's no investment that doesn't have risk. Even buying land, it has its own risks. For example, you can be given a fake title. Even apartments, they have their own risks. Anything can happen. There's nothing in the investment world that doesn't come with a risk. But the difference between the average person and the wealthy person is the wealthy person takes calculated risk. You cannot just sit there and say, I love taking high risks. Now that's you being dumb. It has to be very calculated. Otherwise, you'll end up losing a lot of money. I've met friends who've lost a lot of money because they take high risks with their hard-earned money, and then they lose it all. And this is because they didn't manage the risk. They went all in. Ni kama dive deep end. And then after you may dive from the deep end, that's when you realize, oh, I don't know how to swim, my friend. That's not what the wealthy do. The wealthy take calculated risks with asymmetric upside. Limited loss, but unlimited gain. You'll also find wealthy people, rich people using things like insurance, things like hedges, to protect their wealth or to protect whatever it is that they've put, for investments. Because they understand everything comes with a risk. But now, the average person doesn't do that. Most people invest blindly. Okay? Most people invest just because of hearsay. Most invest because someone else invested there. You can invest a place. You can copy maybe your wealthy uncle or that wealthy relative of yours. They invest in something and then you copy them. Kumbe, they've insured their investments and you haven't. You see how different you are? If something happens, they are still safe. And you come crashing down. Because they know or they have learned the art of managing risky investments. Okay? They don't avoid it altogether. Which brings me to the other set of average people who avoid risk altogether. They'd rather put their money under the mattress, under the pillows, in a safe in their house, or in their savings account. They avoid investing completely. The wealthy will never avoid investing. Okay? Just because there's risk involved. They'll do everything in their power to manage it. So, number 7, another very important thing that the rich know is that time is a currency. The ultimate currency is time. It's sad that there's people who don't know that time is currency. They think money as the only currency. That's so sad. And this is why you'll see wealthy people, rich people who pay other people to do other things so that they can focus on bigger, better things. They'll pay people to do admin work. They'll pay people to do cleaning. They'll pay people to do those funny things. But now you see the average person, this person who's not wealthy, they want to do everything. They want to clean in the name of saving money. They want to do the admin work. They want to do, they are hoarders. You think you're hoarding everything. But little do you know that you're not saving time. You might think you're saving money, but you're losing time. The time that you're wasting doing those funny chores, cleaning, admin work, you would have used that same time doing other bigger things, greater things. But most of them are too blind to see that. The wealthy notice that. Okay? They understand that time is currency. They'll pay other people to free hours for themselves. And then they'll use these free hours to make high value decisions. Now, the average person will take it upon themselves to do everything. And then when it comes to making very high value decisions, they're running on empty. They're too exhausted, And you expect growth? You expect to build wealth like that? You must be dreaming, It doesn't work like that. In the real world, it doesn't. Okay. At some point, you have to let people help you do other things. Okay. Yeah. Number 8. They know your network equals your net worth. The wealthy will invest heavily in relationships. And this is because they know things like deals, and insider knowledge flows through things like trust. They don't just network with anybody, by the way. They don't network with friends in high school, friends in college, friends in primary school, friends. No. You'll find them networking in places like golf clubs, They're hiking, playing hockey, or, such things. Because at the same time, not all relationships are worth keeping. There's relationships that will drain you. And you need to know the difference. You need to know this is not for me. This is for me. This will grow me. This won't grow me. When you're an adult, you need to know. You need to be able to tell the difference. Because if you won't, it will cost you. So as much as we're talking about networking, it's not all kind of networking or relationships that thrive. So you also have to be on the lookout. I think that's the other thing the wealthy do. Okay, they pay attention to the best relationships that they know, can help them. If they want a deal to go through, they ensure that these people are able to trust them. Okay, the more you increase those kind of relationships, now you increase your net worth. Because you can be having plenty of friends, and there are friends who will not make anything work for you. Okay? Yeah, you can hang around friends, but you're the wolf, you're the leader. So you'll never learn anything from them. They are the ones who are following you. No, I don't mean that kind of relationships. I mean, you need to put yourself in better spaces. In spaces where there's great people. There's people who can mentor you. There's people who can teach you something that you don't know. Okay? Those are the places you're supposed to go and network. The wealthy know that. And that's why even in Kenya, you see them, if they are hanging around high-end places. Not at Yatika locals, where growth cannot happen. Anyway, point is, they know networks that they create or the relationships they build, if they are great, will equal to high net worth. Next, number 9, another important thing that the wealthy understand about wealth or money is that financial education is necessary, is a must. Okay? That financial literacy or financial education is a non-negotiable. The average person they negotiate with these things. They don't take these things seriously. So you're working, you're making money, you're earning, but you lose money because you are financially illiterate. You'll find an average person, as long as they finish school, that's it. They're not hungry for any kind of knowledge anymore. They will not learn skills that will make them money. They will not, yani they're just content. And you wonder why building wealth is difficult for you. You need to change how you see wealth, you see things, okay? The more that you learn stuff about wealth, finances, money, the more you understand, okay? That is the only way you'll put yourself in a better place financially. That is the only way, actually, even if it comes to conversations, you can be able to sit with the wealthy or the rich and have a conversation that makes sense. So financial literacy or financial education to the wealthy is an non-negotiable. Last but not least, the wealthy understand that inflation is a hidden tax. And this is the reason you'll find the wealthy holding hard assets like land, apartments, yeah, rather than holding cash. They'll hold real estate, commodities, assets, rather than having money in their bank accounts. You will rarely see a wealthy person or a rich person having liquid cash. They've always put that money in investments, hard assets. And this is because they know that's the only way and the best way to hold purchasing power. Because the moment you have money, you've lost purchasing power because of inflation. Okay? So this is the only way they preserve purchasing power, by holding hard assets and not cash. That's why we keep telling you, Aki, stop saving money. Start investing. Invest in something else. Otherwise, inflation, as we said, is a hidden tax, and you're going to pay for it dearly. Lastly, and this is very, very, very important, and I feel a lot of people keep sweeping this under the rug. They think it's not important, and it is very, very important, because this is the only way you can know how much more work you need to do, how hard you need to work, for how long. And this is, they have defined their own enough. You cannot be living this life not knowing what your enough is. Otherwise, it will always be a rat race for you. Okay? You'll never have time for yourself. You'll never have freedom. All you'll be doing day in, day out is working like a donkey. So this is what the wealthy do. They set up a target, okay? A clear target for freedom. Like, for example, this is an example. I can say, for me to have the kind of freedom that I want, I need to have like 2 acres of land, build apartments, like 10 apartments, maybe 2-bedroom apartments in a certain place, and then I'll have a small business I'm running. I'll have a few cows and a few chicken, and I'll be content. That's enough for me. That is a clear definition of what your enough is. Like, when you get to that, if you're employed, you can quit without feeling bad and you'll survive. Okay? But a lot of people are out here, the average people, they are breaking their backs without having a proper definition of what their enough is. Now, this means even if you get to that point where you've had enough, you'll never know. You'll keep grinding and working like a donkey. Yet, the time has come for you to relax. You can decide, okay, because I just don't want to be bored, I can decide to just work because I don't want to stay at home and be bored. And another problem is being so hungry and greedy that even if you have enough, you feel like it's not, you believe it's not. I don't know what that says about you. Like, either you don't understand yourself, you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe in your definition of enough. I don't know, I can't speak for you, but the wealthy or the rich understand and know when enough is enough. Okay? But this is not to say there's not wealthy or rich people who are greedy. There's plenty of them. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you want, a normal human being, when you want peace of mind, when you want, when you're being content, when you're being honest with yourself. Okay? A lot of people are out here lying to themselves. Although this also applies to the wealthy and the average and the poor. A lot of people are living a lie. So you have to come clean with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. Because when you're honest with yourself and when you decide what enough is to you, you'll be able to stop trading time for money unnecessarily. In my adulthood, I've come to... I know about time, I know about money, I know about freedom, and I thank God that I've also spent time with wealthy people who are wealthy. I have family members who are wealthy also. And I've seen there's different kinds of poverty, there's different kinds of average person, and there's different kinds of rich and wealthy people. And they're all separated by such things. Like you can find two wealthy people. One understands or knows when enough is enough, and the other doesn't. So the one who doesn't know or understand that it's enough, or what he has is enough, doesn't have time for himself because he thinks he's not made it. So he's out here grinding, and when it comes to something that needs his time or attention, he's not available. He doesn't know that he can afford the freedom and the time that he needs. He's just too blind. He's led by fear or greed. Something. Bottom line, something is just wrong. There's something that he's supposed to do that he hasn't done. Okay. The same for an average person. Okay. And that's why you'll see even the poor people. There's landlords in those mabati houses there. There's landlords. You can see a landlord living in a mabati house and he builds other mabati houses there and he collects rent. And these are the same people you'll invite. They have time. They have freedom to do things they love. They have time to spend with their loved ones. But you'll find someone, a wealthy person who has the money, it's enough, but they've convinced themselves it's not enough. So sometimes there's rich people or wealthy people who don't understand things about money and wealth. Okay. And there's people who are, average people who understand. So I don't know which one you are. Let me know in the comment section. I hope this helps someone. I hope I haven't confused you. Huh? Yeah, I hope this helps you define the kind of person you are. Yeah. Let me know what you think on the comment section. I'd love to read from you. Yeah. Well, that's it for us today. I'm Miss Muithathi, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.